Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including RWBY, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Hayley Nabuurs.
Hello.
And Andy Potter.
Hi.
We're back for more RWBY, this time episode 4 of volume 6, So That's How It Is. Which might be one of the most baffling titles, I think, of the
yeah.
show. I really have no idea why it's called this.
They didn't even say it.
Yeah, right? They didn't say it? I'm not crazy? They didn't say
no.
this? Okay. Does a song lyric? Probably, I don't know. But yeah, we're talking this. We talk RWBY every week here at the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for Overly Animated RWBY on iTunes. Subscribe there. Or on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated to not miss any of our future RWBY podcasts. We had a great discussion last week about one of the most notable episodes the show has done. Definitely make sure you check out our podcast on episode 3, volume 6, especially to see a time when we're very positive about the show. So you think you know that we're capable of that. But let's see what we think of So That's How It Is. Make sure spoilers, of course, for this and all previous episodes of RWBY. Hayley, what did you think of this episode?
I think it was really solid. Like, it wasn't as dramatic or pivotal as the last episode was. And it definitely felt like a setup episode, you know, like it's leading to other things later on. But I found the pacing was really good. Like, it was moving along pretty well. We got a great scene with Salem, and her character is just so much better now that we know what is going on with her. Like, I was so much more intrigued with her scene, which is great. And we saw Emerald and Mercury and all of them, which was nice again. Yeah, and then the RWBY bits were great and solid, and I liked how the team was being written. So, yeah, I was really, I know this is bad, but like parts of the episode, I was like, dang, this is like a real show. Like, I know.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
I think I said that last week too.
Yeah. Like, I know it is a real show. It totally is and always has been, but it really feels like they've got a good groove happening and that it feels just so well done. Nice. Even during episodes like these that are not, like, this isn't going to be the best episode of the season, but it's well done and well paced and drawn and everything else. So
nice. Okay, so
yep.
Hayley thinks the ball's still rolling on volume 6 here.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Did I call it volume 4 before? I hope I called it volume 6, or is it just episode 4? So I'm getting confused. There's some volume 4 comparisons to be had later in the podcast, so don't worry about that. Okay. Andy, what did you think of that? So That's How It Is.
Did I make a wish on a monkey paw at some point here? Because that's what it feels like.
Sun's gone from the show.
Haha.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I waited 2 years for this, Dylan, and I hate it. I hate every second of it.
Well, what are you referring to? Because not everyone might know.
Be more specific.
We got Tyrion's tail, Dylan, and it was nothing. Nothing happened. Why did we wait 2 years for this? For him just to show up?
You waited 2 years for this. No one else did.
No, we all waited for this. I was waiting 2 years, and his tail was supposed to be cool. Like, Cinder got a grim arm. Why couldn't Tyrion get a grim tail? He just had a little, like, metal cap on the end of it. It's so stupid.
Yeah. You're going to have to fill us in, Andy, on the differences between the old and the new tail, because I did not go back and check because I knew you would let us know in excruciating
the
detail.
authority.
Dylan, there's no differences. There's none. He just put a metal cap. And
that's a difference.
That's it, though. That's all he did. It's not like it's like they made it seem like he's gonna get like a special tail. He's like recuperating, but no, he just
did they though? Like, I feel like there wasn't that many hints towards this is the big moment. Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Did you have thoughts on other parts of the episode, or was it just the tail?
It was a boring setup episode. I mean, stuff happened. It was fine. It was like, this episode is going to be completely forgettable when we when we think about the season as a whole, but it was important for setting up stuff, I guess. But I mean, nothing really happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to get back to the tail soon. But I know that's what everyone's listening for, is the Tyrion's tail discussion. Yeah, this is an episode that's the consequence of how they like write the show and approach the show, which is that the Rooster Teeth airs this weekly, but I don't think they write it weekly. I think they just write it like more towards the goal of a season long thing, like the Netflix style. Watch the season as a whole. So then you end up with episodes like this, which should probably be combined with another episode. So that's like the most frustrating thing I think with this episode, is just that it should be part of a larger thing. Like the end of this episode is nothing. ending? Like, why did we have to end at that moment? It was arbitrary. That being said, I think this was good. This is like the worst of the 4 so far this season, but I still think it was good. Like, I think that this is a good sign that when you have like this quiet, nothing episode, it still is pretty solid. There are moments in this episode that I really loved. And I'm going to get into those, but this maybe is even a better sign than the first 2 episodes, which were like, okay, they can be solid. And obviously last week, which I thought was the best episode of RWBY ever. And this is a little bit of a letdown coming off of that, but it shows that, they're capable of, like high quality, even with quieter moments with of the show, with less important things. Like obviously this huge creation myth that fills us in and all the details that we ever wanted to know about RWBY's mythology is going to be great. But this episode is also pretty good. And there's nothing in particular here, that we're looking for. I also think this episode's placement, is very well thought out. I really agree with Hayley that, Salem feels more meaningful now that we know what's up with her, and it's really good. It's a really good move by everyone involved to put this episode after the creation myth, like hold off on Salem's reaction to the events of last season, because now I actually care about Salem now that I know what's up with her, and I think this is the best Salem episode of the show outside of last week. This is the best she's been in her nonsense hideout, interacting with the same people over and over. Like, she's the most menacing, the most interesting, the most, engaging motivation wise. And that's just all because of how it's placed in the season. So I have a lot positive to say about this episode, honestly. And I don't really have a rant either this week. The rant is just, I guess, what I said before about why do they write the show this way? They shouldn't air it weekly if it's not written weekly, and it comes across like it's not a weekly written show. Like, this episode should be part of a larger episode. So that's frustrating, but I really like what we got within the short time frame here. So you know what? Honestly, we can start with the tale because
it's the most contentious thing.
There's not really that much here. I mean, I want to talk about Ozpin, everyone's reaction to Ozpin, and I want to talk about Salem. But if you've been listening to this podcast the past 2 years, you'll know that in Volume 4. And do you want to give the setup on the tale here? So
tell us the tale.
His tail gets cut off, and then what happens?
So what happens is RWBY cuts off Tyrion's tail in season 4, the most boring season, and this is the most exciting part of the show at the time because we have a villain. It's cool. Tyrion's horrible. That's just who he is. But his tail gets cut off, and he gets whisked away to places unknown, somewhere where Salem is. And we get told, hey, he's coming back at some point. He needs to recuperate.
Does Dr. Watts say, like, I'm going to build him a new tail? Does that happen?
No. He implies it. He implies like, hey, I'm gonna help him or something. Yeah. I'm gonna like heal him up.
I remember like their implication that Watts will make him a robot tail or something. Maybe that's just what we read from it.
It was Watts was in the scene. That's what the implication was. Watts was in the scene where we were told Tyrion was getting better. He was recuperating. And so me being genre savvy and knowing that Cinder has a prosthetic and that there are robots in the show, go, hey, Tyrion's going to get a robot tail. Tyrion's going to get something cool. But no, we come in, it's been two years, and we come in, and Tyrion just has a little metal cap on the end of his tail. And it's like, what was I waiting for? What was the point of all this investment? I get nothing? I get nothing for waiting 2 years at all? I'm just so upset with this. They could have done so much better. Dylan.
Isn't there any part of you, Andy, that is happy that we got resolution on the tail? Aren't you happy for Tyrion that he seems stable, in quotes, and has a tail, and it's kind of cool?
It's not cool, though. It's just like a metal cap. Like,
maybe there's more to the tail.
Okay, if there's more to the tail, awesome. I don't think there is.
Do you think the metal cap like injects some sort of agents into people, like it turns them into something?
If the metal cap does stuff but doesn't look cool, what's the point? What's the point, Dylan? It should have looked
classy.
Cool.
It's sleek.
I didn't come to RWBY for classy, Hayley.
So we've been waiting for Tyrion to come back, and this was a cliffhanger, like what's going to happen with his tail. It specifically got cut off at the end of Volume 4, and they commented basically that he'd be getting a new tail. And then we waited all Volume 5, and then we were like, okay, the cliffhanger for the season at the end is going to be Tyrion's new tail. That would be a kind of a fun cliffhanger. Like it was like nonsense.
Him waking up and his tail rising up from the shadows or something.
But instead we got nonsense with birds and Tai Yang, and then he comes in the season, he's back, and we do comment on his tail.
Okay, there's at least that, Dylan. We didn't like pretend it didn't happen. Like I was half expecting the tail to just not show up at all, like him to just stand there and not like no one comment on it. And I guess we at least showed it, so that's like slightly better. But I'm still really upset.
I feel like it's almost more frustrating that Emerald commented on it because it shows that they're aware that this is the first time we've like Miles and Curry are aware it's the first time we've seen him since his tail, and yet it was they still did this. Like there's nothing interesting about it.
No, because here's the thing. I was hyping it up because it felt like they were hyping up. They thought this was a big reveal, and it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing at all. And okay, it's cool that we saw Emerald. I like that part of the scene. Emerald's great. But Tyrion's tail should have been a big deal just because it seems like something stupid that Miles would make a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's partly our fault for turning this into a meme. Like we gave it more importance than the show ever gave it, but at the same time, the show did promise the viewer that this would come into play, and they didn't pay it off. But
also, it was a big deal when RWBY did it. It was like a big turning point for them. They were like, oh, this is when the show gets dark, which I disagree with how they did that. That's like a whole other thing. But the thing was, they put big importance in RWBY doing this.
It was a big moment.
It was a big moment at the time. And I think I think it undercuts it kind of because this should have been an equally big moment, I think. Because it shouldn't have been like monumental. It shouldn't have been the most crazy thing ever, but it should have at least had impact. And right now, this is nothing. And that's kind of just, not even from like a rant perspective. I think from like a writing perspective, it should have been like at least a reveal and not just like, hey, he's here. It just feels really awkward in comparison to the scene where it got cut off.
Which makes me think there's something more about it.
Yeah,
right? So.
Yeah.
There could easily be more, but again, I don't know if it has the same weight anymore though, because we already see this. It's not
now is the time.
Yeah, maybe it does though, because then he can maybe next episode he confronts them at the barn, right? Or the farm, and then he's like, look at this fancy tail.
We didn't even need to see it be fancy now. We just need to see that it was something. Like it could have just glowed a little bit in the back.
Glowed.
No, I'm not kidding. I think it should have just glowed a little bit and be like, hey, this tail is a little more. But right now, it's just a stupid metal cap he's put on the end of his cut off stupid tail.
How did he grow back?
He didn't grow back, Dylan. He cut off. RWBY cut off just the end with the stinger.
Oh, it was just the end, really?
Yeah, he only lost the
That's
end.
Stupid.
Yeah, Dylan. It's stupid.
I thought it was the whole thing. Okay, I think this makes Volume 4 even worse, honestly, because that was one of the biggest moments of Volume 4, and it doesn't even, and following up on it doesn't even register in as any sort of thing in this season. So that was maybe the top 5 biggest moment in that season, and we just don't care about it. So that shows how nothing that season was.
Yeah,
because here's the thing: Cinder is super obsessed with RWBY. Tyrion should be even more super obsessed with RWBY, but we don't even see that. We finally have a villain here who actually has a reason to be invested in stopping our main hero, but he does nothing, and it's really stupid. Because I don't get why Cinder constantly is going after Team RWBY. Because it seems honestly like she should have something against Jon, but saying that I don't want more Jon, but that's different.
Don't say his name.
But Tyrion is the perfect villain here to be like, hey, here's our guy who's coming after RWBY all the time, but he just does nothing, even when he has the plot handed to him on a silver platter. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think this happens with the show sometimes as they lose track of plot threads they introduce. And it's not good because this is something you could have easily just not introduced as a thing, and yet you just need to not have that scene that implied whatever it was that implied that this would be followed up on. It's just not great writing. I don't know. It's something from Volume 4. We're past it now. To a certain extent, I'm fine with not making
push everything from Volume 4 away.
Volume 4 didn't happen. We can just pretend now.
The most frustrating part of this is that this scene is fine. It's not my problem with the writing of the scene. It's that in context with the rest of the show, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's the worst part of this, that the scene actually works, especially the part talking about his tail. It's it really does feel like they're just moving on and ignoring it completely, which, I mean, I guess that's okay, because they've cut off a lot of stuff that's bad, but I just think that this wasn't one of the things they needed to cut out. Honestly, this is the kind of thing that people who watch anime are excited for. Give us a stupid tale.
Yeah, it could have been fun. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't engender trust among your fans. I think if you just leave things and you ignore things that you said you would show.
Yeah.
And I think that happens with the show, honestly. And that's why it's hard to like trust anything about any sort of romance thing ever happening or any sort of thing we expect plot wise to. It's it's just it could get Tyrion's tailed too. So I think that's how we're gonna refer to it now is plot threads that are not followed up on by RWBY. Tyrion's tailed.
Which foreshadowing matters now? Like what foreshadowing is actually foreshadowing?
Yeah, I agree. Foreshadowing isn't. We can't assume that it's really going to matter, which is unfortunate.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. On the other hand, you can interpret this as them moving on from a mistake of a mistake of a season, which I do think they've said before, like that they learned from that and they're improving how they're doing things now. I agree that I think the scene was good actually. It's really just in the context of everything and getting into that scene, Tyrion, the line from Emerald was, "I will cut off more than just your tail," from Emerald, which honestly is the most interesting thing Emerald's done in 3 years.
Yep. But I mean, Dylan, it's interesting because this whole scene with Salem's actually kind of from Emerald's perspective, which is I'm actually hopeful about. I really like that.
Yeah, and then the follow up with Salem, I agree. Yeah, it's kind of Emerald centric, which is really cool. I think the most interesting Tyrion does is he cuts his face on Emerald's gunblade.
Yeah.
That's like displaying his unhingedness, which is the only character trait that he has, honestly.
He also swapped personalities at some point during the conversation. Like his eyes twitched and went smaller, and
you think we're doing a Weiss's butler thing with him where he
they definitely made it really obvious. Like his eyes shaked and got smaller, and then he went from crazy aggressive to just crazy shy.
What fairy tale is he?
Dylan, we're not doing it.
Yeah, I don't care about that. But yeah, I thought that was one of the best things they've done in terms of displaying him being unhinged is having him cut his face. That was pretty menacing and alarming.
He didn't do anything with it. He didn't even touch it or lick it. He just let it keep dripping. I think that if he had licked it, I'd be like, come on guys, we don't need to do this.
That was pretty cool, yeah. And so he's taunting Emerald about Cinder being gone. They think she's dead, and also we get the implication that Tyrion wants to go after Team RWBY again, going to Atlas, but we don't get, I guess, confirmation that will happen.
It just sounded more like he was just crazy. I don't know. I don't ever feel like he ever has real motivation because he's just always insane.
Yeah, he's not really a character on it. He's just kind of an over the top archetype that they're throwing at. And it's fine if this is I think if they make him a big part of the season, that'll be a problem. But in this role, I think it's fine. I think it's pretty good in this episode.
Yeah, I would be fine if he was just Team Rocket showing up fighting sometimes. That's fine. But he's just never there. He's just never. He's nothing right now, and I don't like it.
Yeah. It's what. Yeah. All of Cinder's villains, Salem's villain crew is they introduced them a few seasons ago. They haven't really done anything. I mean, Hazel was okay last season, and then he's okay here again, I think.
And Watt came to build a table.
I think she could have gotten better people. Gotta be honest.
It does bring up a good question, given that we know she's immortal and has magic and is kind of a god to these people. Why is she hanging out with these numbskulls? Yeah. And I do think I think she's probably lonely. I think she needs someone there. I don't know how I guess we need a backstory on how they came under her care. I'm
thinking that maybe she's trapped in this castle thing somehow.
Yeah, that's a good point. We haven't really seen her.
Right? Because like you said, she has all this power. She can leave whenever she wants and just take care of it in seconds, but she doesn't. So there's got to be a reason why.
Yeah. And now we know where she is, that she's in the God of Darkness's domain.
Yeah, which makes me think maybe there's something Osmond went after her and trapped her there or something.
Yeah. I think the thing that really clicks in terms of Salem, because Salem has not been a particularly good character before last week, and it's really just because we don't know anything about her. We just think that she's this god, and she just gets mad at stuff, and who cares? But now we know her story. We know her motivations, and seeing her get mad at Ozpin, the mention of Ozpin, is I think the best thing that we've ever done with Salem in the present.
For sure.
Because we understand why she would hate Osmond now. We understand their complicated history and how many emotions are there, like from their origin to their getting back together to like him like opposing her now. It's like so charged their dynamics and there's just like it's beyond our comprehension how much history they have.
Yeah.
So like it really lands, that scene with her shattering the windows in the room she's in, the glass. I think that's the best scene of the episode. And it
looks so good. It looks so awesome.
It looks really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, make that the screen cap. Like the animation continues to be really great in the season. But yeah, it's just like knowing something about her, like it so helps the character. Like who would have thought? Yeah, who would have thought? But I think this is really. I'm really glad that we did last week, and I think we're already seeing the benefits of. Not only was it a great story last week and the best episode of the show, but it's going to improve things moving forward, especially with Salem and hopefully Osmond. We can get to we'll get our takes on how they handled the Osmond reaction soon. But yeah, just in general, Salem much more engaging now, I think.
Yeah, for sure. She's just like you were saying, when she's on screen now, it isn't just, oh, she's the villain because we've been told she's the villain. Like we can see that there's a lot of conflicting emotions happening, especially when they're talking about Osmond. But yeah, just knowing that she has a motivation beyond just I am evil is so good. And it also, I think, added to her like menacingness in the scene, kind of, because before I haven't found her to be that like I guess people are afraid of her because she's evil and has the grim, but now you know that she's like an immortal being, and we've actually seen that, and also know kind of a bit more of a better personality in history. So it just makes everything she does so much better, really.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's so great.
Yeah, just knowing that she's immortal. She's she was human. She lost everything, and that she is
like a superior, or maybe not superior, but like the original version of people, and all the people she's talking with are not.
She's from a different era.
It just adds so much more to her scenes. It's so great.
I really think. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and then all that on top of that, I think it's really great because we understand why she's still willing to just kill people whenever, because she doesn't care about death. She can't die. She wants to die, and she's been alive so long. Like, she's just willing to hurt people and do whatever. Like, it makes it so much more understandable why she's doing these really evil things.
And it's kind of sad, almost. Yeah. Like it's not just she's hurting him because that's what she does because she's a villain. It's like she's got this kind of complex that she's been living with for millennia. And it's not maybe not sympathetic because she is doing bad things, but you know where she's coming from now.
Yeah, and it makes it so much more powerful. Even when she's just like torturing Hazel, like I understand why she's doing that. Like just on a snap, like just snaps her fingers. Like she'll just do whatever like that, and I really like it.
Yeah, she's infinitely more like empathetic to us, given that we understand her history, and yeah, the fact that she's an original human, an original magic user, and everyone around her except Osmond is from a different era. I think like I commented last week, that was my biggest takeaway from last episode, and I think this episode is aware of that. It comments on it with Maria, and like that's like the thing that's hanging over. I feel like everything surrounding Salem now, like she is a relic of a previous iteration of humanity. Like that's pretty crazy.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah, it is. I think it's really cool. I'm really excited. The
also, her voice acting was really good. I think. Like, I feel like it's been good in the past, but I feel like this maybe it was just because her character is so much better now. But I just found she was more interesting to listen to, even.
Yeah. Apparently, voice acting's more interesting when we care what they're saying.
Right? What a shock.
Yeah, I think Salem's always been Jen Taylor as Salem always been really good. This is maybe the best all around display of Salem in voice to animation to motivations. I'm not gonna zone out when she's on screen. Like she's like, okay, cool. I mean, because she was just so powerful last week. So yeah, other things Salem does in this episode is the glass shattering scene is, I think, incredible. There's one other shot I just loved, which is Hazel's like, I'm taking full responsibility, and then we get this perspective shot from Hazel of Salem coming towards him.
And like flipping the table.
She throws the table aside and then like charges at them. That was fantastic. Like, the storyboarding, the animation, everything surrounding that scene. I think the show should absolutely do more things like that. Like, it has it in its wheelhouse now. It's like so visually stunning, like in many times this season. And I think this is one of the best visual things the show has done. Like, have these interesting visual moments. Like, this just really made her menacingness come to life in how it was displayed in the animation. I think it was so fantastic.
I really liked as well her interactions with Emerald in this scene, especially because, like you were saying, Emerald was kind of our like POV for this scene in a way. Because it definitely makes me think that Emerald is going to turn sides, probably. She didn't seem to be fully into it, but it was so good because it was like you could see on Emerald's face that she knows that Salem could like kill her basically at any second, but she's not. And it was really, there was like some neat tension going on there. Which is interesting.
At least we'll do something with Emerald. It seems like now. Yeah.
Yeah. This episode definitely made it like she isn't just a background character. She's doing things a little bit.
But that said, we're juggling so many plot lines.
Yes.
Right? It's crazy.
I think she's going to be in Cinder's plot line.
I hope they condense that because there's like 6 or 7 we're juggling just for this season.
Yeah. Well, now that she knows that Cinder's alive, I'm imagining maybe she'll go and try and find her, and then they'll team up and.
But when are we right now?
I just ignore the timelines. Don't think about the timelines.
Yeah, Danny K and our patron Danny K in our Discord talked about how Cinder might be in a different timeline, or Cinder is in a different timeline. Might Salem also be in a different timeline from our main, because we see them coming back to Cinder's hideout from the end of last season, and it's 4 episodes in. So did it just take them a while to get there, or is this at an earlier point?
Yeah, just wait till like the Jean episode where we pick up immediately from episode 1 there.
Oh my god!
Then we'll have 4 timelines.
Don't do this to me.
Yeah, we could also cut to them. I'm going to assume that the Salem stuff is in the present, the present of RWBY Team RWBY until we hear otherwise. Like the Cinder stuff we specifically saw in a poster is at a different time, but it absolutely could be earlier.
And this is why I got so upset with timelines in like episode 2, Dylan, because it just like makes everything kind of like you kind of second guess when everything's happening and you're not sure how things fit together, and I don't like that.
It's a little convoluted, and I don't think it should be done unless there's a specific reason. So we'll see. But it's not like they did it here. It's just a little confusing because this is immediately in our eyes, this is the immediate consequence of the end of last season. And it's not happening until 4. But the reason I think that it's here is just because of what we talked about in the beginning. This has more meaning because we got the origin story already. Yeah. So I think that's why it's
also, I think the Salem stuff is happening in the present with the RWBY stuff, because remember in the Cinder timeline how the Miss Muffet character said that Hazel had been there looking for RWBY, right? So we could assume that happened. Like he
that's
went
kind of confusing
there
too.
And
there
then went
and
to
now
Salem.
is back. Yeah, but it also Salem could have been before that too. I guess. Yeah. But we heard that Hazel is looking for. So maybe we'll either see her send Hazel out after, or learn that. I think we would have heard that happened already. So maybe this actually makes me think it would be before that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, it's the fact that we're confused about that even after talking it out. That's not good.
We also don't know where this like Lord of Darkness area is too.
I think the big thing is that without the Cinder being a separate timeline, this all would just be fine. They're just writing it because in this place because it hits best right now, like you were saying, Dylan. But because we have that Cinder stuff, it makes everything just worse.
Everything's in question now.
I actually think you don't have to tell us that something's at a different time. I think it's like Game of Thrones the past few years has done this where things take place in different timelines and they just don't say. And and sometimes it's a little annoying when people fast travel and it's like the reason is just because it's taking place at a different time.
Dragons.
It's like, and also dragons can fast travel.
We got to bring dragons into RWBY.
Yeah, well, there's still that one that we
there
don't
is
know
the one.
but also we had dragons last episode. But it's just confusing. Like, and whatever. It's better to, I think, ignore it until we get more clarity. So we'll table it for now, but it's an interesting thought and we can revisit it. We brought up Cinder, and so we learned that they don't know that Cinder, obviously, I think is which makes sense. But then Salem says that Cinder must be left to toil in her isolation until she redeems herself. So that's important on its own because Salem's willing to forgive Cinder at some point. which, I mean, she should, because Cinder was fighting for her. You know, like,
and she needs her powers.
She
too,
just
right?
failed her or whatever. And we don't really know, but maybe. Maybe. What does Salem want with the maidens? I don't know. Yes. And then that cues Emerald and everyone into learning that Cinder is alive. And, Watts is like, how you couldn't possibly know that? And, you know what, Watts? I agree with you. How do you know that, Salem?
What? Ball, the crystal ball Grim.
Can you just see everywhere with those?
Yeah, of course.
Dylan,
of course she can.
She has a connection to the maidens because they're her daughter.
Yeah, there's that too.
Okay, sure. But the thing is, what really confused me here, I guess this can be my rant of the week. Why does Salem know that Cinder is alive, but does not know that Ozpin is leading them to Atlas?
Yes, that is
like
true.
that shocked her.
Did she know that he was like alive? Because with that reaction, I could not remember. Like,
she may not even know anything about Ozpin's last 100 years, or I guess she knew about the fall of Beacon, and then after that, I don't remember what happened.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if we've had it confirmed that she knows that he is out there doing.
It's even worse if she didn't have any updates since the end of Volume 3. But at the very least, like, why can you know that but not the other thing? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think I figured it out. I think what it is Salem has spoken with Cinder about who to think about when she dies. And so that because, like, let's say she told Cinder that if you die, you think of Emerald, so that she's already in my court when you die, so I have the maiden still. Like, something like that, to that effect. So maybe because she didn't see the fall maiden powers transfer over to someone, she knows that Cinder's still alive.
Yeah, she's got a connection to her.
It's not that she actually knows, is that she
knows that either she or Emerald or someone else would have the powers, and since they don't, sure, but she's certain though, and it could be that Cinder just thought of the person killing her in before. Like, that seems like a risk always with the stupid maiden.
Maybe she just knows that the powers have been transferred regardless.
How?
I don't know. I don't know.
How does this work? We don't know. Yeah, you're right. We don't know anything.
Yeah. No, we know a little bit more.
We got off the lore episode, Dylan, where we said we knew everything, and now we don't know anything again.
Yeah. So that did annoy me a little bit. Like, Cinder being so certain, like, or Salem being so certain, which fine, but then she doesn't know something later. So, like, if you're either omniscient or you're not omniscient, like, immortal being, like, whatever. Maybe we'll get an explanation on that, but yeah. Anyway, regardless, so now Emerald knows that, Cinder's alive, and, then Salem goes on this whole speech about the path to your desires is only found through me. This is classic Miles writing, I think, this speech that Salem gives. It was fine.
It was in the trailer too, I think.
Yeah, I heard in the trailer, so it was like not new.
Yeah. I just don't like things where you have people your characters give speeches with very broad things like this. Never connects with me in this show. I've talked about this a million times. This was like Ozpin a few episodes ago, just like talking for forever. Like what? Like this? Whatever. Just you have to make it relevant to what's going on, or else the audience isn't going to care.
And also, like, not to mention that her whole plan is just to kill everybody. So it's just not even true, and we know it. It is. So it's just. It's not. It's the least compelling thing she says, because it's just her.
It seems fake. You
just give me like a political speech, and it's just okay, sure.
I agree, it's the least compelling. I mean, in like the delivery, the framing, I think in theory it could be good, and what she's saying in theory could be interesting. But I don't know. I didn't think now is the time for.
I think maybe she laid out exactly what her lieutenants want, because we don't know it yet. We don't know what any of these the people in her crew want, and maybe this seemed like the best place for her to actually go. Like, hey. Just like a short like sentence about what each of them want, as like, hey Watts, you want power, or Hazel, you want your sister back, or something, like just something like that laid out. That would be great in this scene. But instead she just goes, you want things.
Yep.
Love.
Yep. That would have been good if we could learn about things from that. But no. So no. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a big deal. It's just like if we're trying to elevate, like we talked about, if we're trying to elevate RWBY to that level that some of the other shows we cover on, then these are the types of things I think that need to improve a little bit. We learn the sword is under Vacuo, Vacuo's Academy Shade. So she's about to tell them to go there for it, but then gets interrupted by learning about Ozpin. So that seems like a next season hook or something, that Vacuo is the next place we're going to go. That's where Sun is going. So that's very exciting that we can
Sun's
get Sun back
back
into the show. Maybe it's not 2 or 3 seasons before Sun comes back. Maybe it's next season.
Fortunately, that means Neptune's also coming back.
Maybe he'll be dead by the time we see him.
Something dramatic happened on the way.
Then a dramatic flashback with Sun retelling the tale of how Neptune died. That would actually be fantastic.
That'd be good. Yeah, let's do that.
And it's like done in like puppets, 'cause it's Sun telling the story, not the Jin or whatever.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good if it was like some stylized version. I don't even remember the two other teammates. I know we've seen them before, but I don't remember them.
Yeah,
so I can go back and look. But
I remember what one of them looks like, but I forget what his name is.
Definitely we don't know the names. I mean, come on, why would we know that? But,
yeah.
So anyway, we're excited to see all of that again. But yeah, I actually like that, learning the Vacuo, that we're going to Vacuo. Like, it's kind of like outlining the general time, because we very rarely know what's happening next with the show. So now we kind of have some idea of what at least one character wants to do next.
Are we getting to Vacuo next season or the next 3-season arc?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is the end of a 3-season arc. We don't need to get into that again. Anyway, Hazel says Ozpin is leading them with the Lamped Atlas, Team RWBY, and Salem gets very upset over that, as talked about, and she breaks everything. So it's a little hard to understand why Salem doesn't know that, I guess, but her reaction at the least has a lot to it. As discussed. Yeah. Okay. So overall, overall, all the RWBY, in a nutshell. But yeah, so the Salem stuff, pretty good, I think. Definitely. And I think the fact that it's pretty good, I think, makes it the best Salem, other than last episode stuff that we've seen, because usually we're not crazy about it. Yes. Okay. Let's go back to Ozpin now in the beginning of the episode, and everyone's reaction to Ozpin here. So this is what we wanted here. At the end of last episode, we learn that Ozpin learns that he cannot kill Salem, and so all the characters see that happening, and Ozpin says there's no plan to defeat Salem. He has no plan.
Thanks, man. Thanks for that.
Yep.
And in reaction, Crow punches him.
Yep.
Woo!
What was your reaction, Hayley, when Crow punched Ozpin?
I was very happy about it, because I was worried they were going to make Crow like defend him and stuff, but no, I was so happy that Crow saw the error in following Oz and punched him, which is great. I also, just before that, I found it really like emotional when we cut back and he was crying after all that, at like the start of that scene, because I think it really kind of endeared Ozpin to me, kind of, and made him more sympathetic, especially like with Salem. We know that this isn't just two ancient gods warring over the fate of the universe. This is like two people who loved each other and had children together. So it was more emotional, and I really liked that. So I still don't love him, because he's like whatever, but that made me like his character a lot more. And then him getting punched was just perfect as well. So
yes, I've seen this from. Yeah, well, yeah, you know, I've seen this reaction from some people online. There's a disconnect between how maybe some of us view Ozpin after last episode and how Team RWBY now views him, which is that Team RWBY is very upset at him for hiding all this information from him, from hiding the fact that there's no plan and that they're basically just running around in circles. And yet, from our perspective, I think Ozpin might be more sympathetic at this point, because now we understand where he's coming from. We understand that he's been trying to do good for his entire like millions of years of life. Like we thought he might be a bad guy. Now he's a good guy, and it's a little bit jarring, I think, to see everyone so mad at him at the beginning of this episode. And we talked about this from the episode too. Like, they're so mad at Ozpin, and yet here's this generally positive tale about Ozpin, and yet we understand that what he's doing at the end connects badly to what he's doing in the present, but just from our viewing perspective, it's right next to each other. So maybe this further shows that 3 doesn't fit in well, like with episode 3 with these 2 and 4. Like, because Andy, did you have that reaction at all? Like, yes. Why is everyone so mad at him?
Yes, definitely, and I think I've been the biggest proponent of that. Like, I was talking about that last episode, even when I was talking about how I liked episode 3, I didn't like how it led into this, and 4 just carries that over. I do like that Crow punches Ozpin. It feels appropriate that he should be upset. Like, I want to be clear
Yeah.
here. It feels that they should be upset that there is no plan, that Ozpin's been like, hey, here's what we're doing. We're doing this, and we're going to stop Salem. And that's just not true because they can't do it. But I don't like how Crow immediately goes from punching him, from being upset, to being like, you've ruined my life. And it's like, I think you're going a little far there, Crow. Like, you're like jumping a little far off. Like, you're jumping a little further. Yeah.
Too much.
And I think that's the point here. I think they, in this season at least, they've captured the right emotions that they should be feeling towards Ozpin. They just keep dialing it up to 11 instead of like a 7. Like, that's just the problem here, Dylan. I think if they were just a little mad instead of like ready to just leave Ozpin behind in the snow to die, I think that'd be better. That would feel more right in the context with episode 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. These are some of the most heated emotions we've seen in the entirety of the show, and it doesn't connect with the audience. I think. I don't feel the same level of anger that Team RWBY is feeling at this moment. I don't understand why Crow had to punch Ozpin. Like, I guess I get it conceptually, and I like that Crow at least outlined his life a little bit here because we don't have a good history of him. So at least he like made us understand, but it still seemed a little bit unnecessary to me that he punched Ozpin.
It does from our perspective, but I'm wondering if from their perspective, like the characters as characters who have been written to have like such a reverence towards him previously and really love him and trust him and everything, whereas for us at least, we didn't really have those emotions towards him, but they do.
But that's
so
their
maybe
job.
it's more of a contrast for them.
They should have written it that way then. That's their job.
Yes.
That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, I think it was intended to be written that way, and it didn't necessarily come across.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The show never convinced us to have a reverence towards Ozpin. We were always skeptical towards him. We were always like, whatever.
Would this have worked better if we had like started with something like this? Like we saw that, because like I feel reverent towards Ozpin now after episode 3. Like it feels like they kind of did it in reverse. Like we finally get reverence towards Ozpin, and everyone hates him. And I don't think it's correct the way we went that way.
Yeah, it does feel like we were like, why do they like Ozpin? And everyone loved him, and now they all hate him, and we're like, you should like Ozpin.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's kind of stupid. It's not the biggest. I think it shows a little bit of that it wasn't framed super well with the RWBY stuff. I think the Salem stuff at least showed good framing with the like we talked about how it connects really well to last episode and how it's more impacted by the placement of the episode. The RWBY stuff I think is like I like that it was being told through Jin and like in sort of this flashback. One commentator last week compared it to Pensieve in Harry Potter. Like we're seeing a flashback because of the characters in the present scene, and I think all that really works well. But just the emotion surrounding it, I think, have felt a little bit off. I know not everyone agrees. Some people definitely have thought this though. But it's I guess more of a minor thing because everything else is clicking. You know, like a lot of other things are going well. So this is a little bit
this is more. Sure. I think this is maybe they went a little too aggressive with their anger, but I think it's more so a representation of previous issues of not writing him as sympathetic and making him seem suspicious when he wasn't.
Like if we had seen if 4 and 5 had really played up the fact that Ozpin is good and it wasn't, and we didn't have all the suspicious stuff happening, like if we cut out Raven being like he's evil because he turned me into a bird, maybe this would have landed a little better, because the show just kept wanting us to be suspicious, so we just had no time to feel like Ozpin seems like he's good, he's hiding something, but he's good, and so this just does not land very well.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it connects super well to the Raven stuff last season, but we need to get into that again. So maybe more of a fault of previous stuff. We get this line from Crow, which is something. He says, "Meeting you was the worst luck of my life."
Oh my!
Classic Crow, so dramatic.
I guess I could turn this into a whole rant, but I won't. Like whatever. The Crow luck thing is stupid. It's already the stupidest mechanic that's his like semblance, right, or whatever.
It's great.
So just shut up, Crow.
But maybe it was the best luck of your life, Crow. You don't know.
It's so melodramatic and ties into a stupid theme already. Okay. Anyway, Ozpin locks himself deep inside of Oscar's head, so I guess we're done with him for a little while.
Yeah. Cool.
Sure. I actually think this is an appropriate reaction to everything that's happening. I think this is probably a good move narratively. sideline Osmond for a while. We've gotten the reaction to him. Now let's deal with the other characters and see how they can handle without him. And then we bring Osmond back. Maybe it's a moment where they need him. Maybe he can get himself back in the trust of the team. Something like that. It seems like probably.
Or he comes back when like maybe Salem finds a way to contact them or something. Like he comes out,
talks to Salem, and they like empathize with his heartfelt conversation with Salem or something. That'd be cool too.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, it's Rose Garden all the way.
Oh no!
Yeah, table that for 1 second. Maria is listening to all of this, and she tells them to move because it's getting dark out, and there's a trail over there. Trails usually lead somewhere.
Words of wisdom. She's the best. But
the most important thing is that Maria did see the flashback.
Yes.
Yeah. Good job showing this rando old lady the history of the world.
Yeah.
I thought she was pretty cool in this scene. I think that was a good line about the trail, and it comes back later with Yang, and it's just stupid that she's there randomly, but she's at least.
But Silver Eyes, there's going to be something.
Yeah, we're going to deal with Silver Eyes with her. Yeah.
Should she have shown up after the Jin story? Like maybe she should have just like
she should have. Yes.
Like she should have been in the train wreck, but she should have yelled out from the train like, "Hey, someone help me!" Like after the flashback, I think.
Yeah, maybe there's a reason that she needs to hear that. That's going to come into play with the Silver Eyes training. She does say coming to terms that this is humanity's second time around. Like I said before, I like that line.
Mm-hmm. And if she was with them and didn't know what they were all like learning, maybe
that'd be weird, and they have to write that. Yeah, they probably did this just for simplicity, but the consequence is that it just seems stupid and random that she's there.
It feels a little contrived if it's important.
It feels contrived. Yeah.
Yeah. But I get that this is the easiest way.
Yeah, which I think it's again, this is a minor thing given it's even more minor than the previous Osmond thing we talked about. Like given that it's in service of other good things, I think it's okay.
Yeah, this is just a nitpick, which is fine. Nitpicks are fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a slightly more than a nitpick, but the RWBY's just such an intricate show in terms of the writing that things like this are going to happen. I don't think it needs to be so intricately written. That's a different issue, but this is this is what happens. Yeah. So here we go, Hayley. We need your take on this. So RWBY gives the cane back to Oscar and then puts her hand on his hand. You're your own person. And then Crow says, "Don't lie to him, RWBY. You're better than that."
Oh my god.
Crow's so stupid this episode.
But that's the best line of the episode. It's
so good.
Don't lie to him, RWBY. You're better than that. Is it good? Do you actually like it, Andy?
It's so stupid. Of course I love it.
Okay, it's good because it's stupid. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like a savage roast if Osmond could hear it, but he can't hear it. So it's just like he's saying it for himself and nobody else. It's so stupid.
Yeah, this is a big Rose Garden moment with RWBY and Oscar. I saw on CO that RWBY touched Oscar's hand and smiled at him. She's never done that for John. Rose Garden confirmed, says a commenter.
I think she's done that for Weiss too, though.
Yeah, well, if we're just comparing John to Oscar, I think this is a show of affection for him.
No,
Hayley,
Weiss and RWBY are the end game, but
yeah, okay, but that's obviously, but well, not obviously, but in our hearts, yeah. But Hayley, Rose Garden famously has captured your heart in the previous seasons of the show. And you were turned off last week by potential incestual revelations about what this might be. But what did you think of it coming back here?
I'm back on the train.
Yes, ding ding ding.
The incest didn't keep us down long, because it's not confirmed.
Not confirmed. It's just a theory. It's just a theory.
Just a theory. Yeah, we have a lot of theories. I don't know. Yeah. No, it was so sweet. They were so sweet. And also, yeah, I'm so on board with the whole, she's never held John's hand, so that's good. Confirmed with Rose Garden. Yeah, it was very sweet. It was super sweet. And I think it was also sweet, too, because it was gosh, he's facing the reality that his personality is going to be consumed by this omnipresent force in the universe. And RWBY's there for him. She's looking after him. Yeah. Telling me you're going to be a good person.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice sentiment from RWBY.
Yeah. No, I'm back on the Rose Garden bandwagon. Yeah.
So quick to jump off, so quick to come back.
Yeah.
It's a very fast moving ship.
Yeah, so, look, such is the fleeting shipping life of RWBY fans.
Yeah.
You know, just this is what we have to deal with here. The short version of the incest thing. Last podcast we talked about how the Ozpin's previous version of Ozpin's children had silver eyes, so maybe all descendants of Ozpin, his various forms have silver eyes. Maybe RWBY is a descendant of a previous Ozpin, so that would mean the Ozpin side of Oscar might be an issue with.
Yeah,
but it was already an issue though. So if we're just getting rid of Ozpin, then it's not. It's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But we're not getting rid of Ozpin, so it's not fine.
No, it's not fine.
But
we'll see what the show
maybe
does.
we are.
Yeah, it was an interesting small moment. I mean, we'll see how they use Oscar here. I think Oscar's character is also a lot more interesting given the revelations about Ozpin last episode. So I think that helps him a lot. Which character that might have been struggling a little bit.
He knows now that he's seen that this thing that has like overtaken his mind is this thing that is going to just keep going and going and going. And if the last Ozpin ended up like he is now, then what's going to happen to Oscar? He's going to also not be himself. And yeah,
there's some sense of he's going to be consumed. There's this inevitability now. Maybe he thought that they could get rid of this, but this has been going on for millions of years and no one's gotten rid of it. So like he should be probably going to be pretty depressed now, like he is in this.
And RWBY's there for him.
Wow. So. Wow. Are they going to kiss this season, Hayley?
I hope not.
I hope not. I thought you were on board.
Yes, but
not until we exercise Ozpin from.
Here's the rating. If we can have a white rose kiss, that's number one. That's not happening. If that's not possible, and the alternative is Jean, Rose Garden for sure.
Well, I agree with that, but why does that have to be the alternative? Like, that's not a. I don't accept these terms.
Can we just have nobody first? Can we have RWBY be with nobody?
Let's just continue with RWBY. I'd rather prefer RWBY with nobody. Yeah. But this was a sweet scene, and I like RWBY being nice to people because she's really nice. Yeah. So at the very least that.
And then Crow just coming in with the one-liners.
Yeah, Crow just don't lie to him. Meeting you was the worst luck of my life. Don't lie to him, RWBY. You're better than that. Shut up, Crow.
He's like a stereotype of himself somehow.
Yeah, and I think he has been for a while. He's still an okay character in spite of that. But
did he call his existence cursed at one point too?
He's over the top.
He's so moody.
I think if it's not good given his prominent role. If he's gonna have a little bit of a reduced role, it'd be fine if he was this over the top. But anyway, so we'll be tracking Rose Garden all season long, seeing where we swing on Hayley's feelings about it. And last thing in the end of the episode, the Team RWBY arrives at a abandoned farm to stay the night, Brunswick Farms.
God.
Ooh.
God.
And then the episode. Do you guys agree with me? The episode abruptly ends for no reason at that point.
Very abruptly.
I think this episode actually ends less abruptly than last one.
At the end of, I mean, that's true. The end of it, we talked about that last week, the end of last week's episode. But what do you think about the ending, Andy? Do you have any theories too about this farms?
Oh, I'm just so upset that we're at another house because that means we're staying here for at least an episode, and I don't want that. I want people to be moving.
Hopefully not a volume 5 where we stay at the same house as they commented on for a while.
If they commented on it and they lampshade it and then do it again, I don't know how I'll be able to handle it because I think we've talked about this on multiple podcasts, not just for RWBY, that if you lampshade your own thing, you can't then do the same bad thing again. I'm worried, Dylan. Yeah, I'm worried.
Okay, worried. Hayley, what do you think of this ending?
It was an ending. I feel like it wasn't that exciting. I assume there's got to be maybe some significance to the name of the farm.
Yeah, but we do hold on that shot for a little bit.
Yeah, right. The only thing I thought it was like New Brunswick, so
I live there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's
a different New Brunswick than I think you're thinking of.
Yeah, probably. But yeah,
RWBY's in New Jersey confirmed.
Yep.
Okay. No, I have a minor theory about the ending. The only thing I don't have a backup to this. Just when I was watching, when I saw a farm, for some reason it reminded me of the house in the flashback of the Maidens. Just like some sort of rural location. Like maybe this is where the Maiden story originally took place. Like it doesn't seem like it was the mansion from last episode where Salem and Ozpin were, but some sort of significant location to a past thing we've seen. I think that would be cool.
Is every third episode just gonna be a flashback episode this season?
I mean, it succeeded last time. That would be fine if we saw more.
Yeah,
but yeah, that would be a way to continue the backstory that we got. If they were at a significant place to Ozpin, then he comes out again. I don't think we would have sidelined him specifically here if he were to come back next episode. I think he's gone for a few episodes, but that could be a way to trigger some more flashbacks, some more meaning into him and Salem's past relationship.
I just think it's related to Maria in some way. Like Maria,
could be related to Maria,
or Silver Eyes.
Silver Eyes, yeah. It just seemed kind of stupid. And also reminiscent of the end of Volume 4, an abandoned location where we had the climax of. So
Tyrion's coming back, or the Knucklebee's coming back. One or the other.
Oh, please, no.
I'll take Tyrion, I guess. No more extendo arms.
But Cinder has an extendo arm. Don't you want to see it more?
If she's fighting Neo, yes, let's do that.
Yeah,
then.
that's good.
That might be next episode too. And the other thing to track here as we look to next week is we have not seen Team Ernger for 3 weeks now. So when will we see John again? We'll see.
I think it's
maybe not for the whole season. You know,
I think it actually is possible that we
like
straight
they're
them
putting
up.
it off.
That would mean though that we are trying to get to the place that they got to in episode 1 the entire season. Like the other half got to there, and then we're going to be journeying. No, I'm not okay with that. That's no movement.
If it means we don't have John, I'm okay with that.
But I don't think that's true, Dylan, because we also saw Adam just in the first episode, and he hasn't been in these next 3. I think we're gonna wrap back around to some of these plots in a little bit.
You would think Adam would come back, but at the same time, we haven't really seen an avenue for him to be doing anything yet.
Yeah,
it's possible it's possible the Adam thing was equivalent to the Ilya scene, and that's just the conclusion to him being significant at the end of last season.
Dylan, the only thing that makes sense is that he has silver eyes. Like
Stop. I don't want to hear that.
But Dylan, it makes sense.
No, I don't know. Please, that just really triggered me, Andy. That upset me a lot. Like, I really hope they don't do that.
You know it's possible.
It's so possible.
I would. That might be a drop show territory thing.
Yeah,
like, that's just God. And then he has to like learn with RWBY side. Oh God.
But should we take 4 seasons to figure out what Ruby's silver eyes are? And Adam's like, "Hey guys, here I am."
I think it's more just going to be. There's going to be a framing device for Silver Eyes, and the B plot will be about Adam, and something he's doing will link back to what.
Here on my tracker of things coming back next week. I think Cinder is number 1, and then Salem. I don't think we'll see her, but she would be number 2, and then John, and then Adam's. Like, I'm not necessarily expecting Adam here, although
I'm staking my flag. I think we're getting something about Silver Eyes next week.
But I think it's with Maria.
No, and I think Adam will be back. I think Adam will
Farm. Be Oh, Adam.
I'm telling you, I'm on this train that Adam has silver eyes. I don't like it, but I think it's true.
Just stop lobbying for Adam to come back. They'll hear you. And,
I hate it. I hate it so much. But
you'll affect the universe, Andy, and make him appear next week.
Clearly, that's not true because Tyrion didn't get an awesome tail.
Okay, that's true. They don't listen to you. Okay, that's fine. Actually, you should please lobby for this more because what you say never happens. So
exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. We'll see what's happening next week on RWBY. Some potentially interesting things with Silver Eyes. Hopefully not Adam. Who knows? Ozpin. What's with this farm? Hayley, will we get more Rose Garden? Hayley, what are your final thoughts here?
Probably more Rose Garden, I'd imagine. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm so happy with the season so far. It's great. Yeah. Just
so happy with this season.
Yeah, still happy with it. Yeah.
Never thought we'd hear the day.
Right? We're like 4 episodes in, and it's good.
Yeah, you were very positive here. Yeah, so Hayley's enjoying all 4 here this season. Yeah. Andy, what are your final thoughts, and are they tail related?
They're definitely tail related, Dylan. How could they not be? If Tyrion shows up and he has an awesome, like his tail turns out to be like awesome and cool and stuff, I will be proactively more upset than I am right now because it just makes less sense for why they wouldn't show it in this episode. And if that happens, I will just be I'll just be really mad. I'll be really mad, Dylan, if his tail is cool now, because I'm just like, just keep it that way now. Just don't talk about it anymore. I don't want to be reminded. I don't want to be reminded ever again of his tail. Just don't do it to me.
Okay. Cool tail stuff confirmed for next week on RWBY. Happening.
For sure.
I hope so, because I want to see Andy mad again.
Clearly, I tend to be tsundere to this tail, Dylan. That's just how it is. I have to act like I don't want it.
Yes.
Yeah,
you're being very tsundere about this tail, because you were like, I want it, and now you're like, I don't want it. So, this tail, I think it's psychologically affecting you, Andy.
It is. It really
is. That's clear, honestly. But yeah. Okay, so there's some good stuff from So That's How It Is. We still didn't discover why it's called this.
None of the names make sense. None of them.
Overall, I enjoyed this episode despite some frustrating things. Looking forward to more to come from RWBY in this volume 6. Let us know what you thought, as always, about this episode in the comments on youtube.com/overlyanimated or on our website, overlyanimated.com, and you can click on the article and leave comments there. No Ombudsman Corner again, because I continue to be flawless in everything since episode 1. No corrections.
I can't believe that. I
haven't gotten one thing wrong since then, apparently, according to you guys. But last week there's all new information. So how could I be wrong about anything? It's all speculation. But maybe I got something wrong this week. Let us know if so, and please continue to leave positive star reviews and like star ratings and actual reviews on our RWBY iTunes feed. If you search for RWBY Overly Animated, we are trying to boost that average star rating that the haters gave us. So the positive review this week is from Sailor Luna, who says 5 stars. I love the ideas and how they analyze the show. They are super funny and quick to make the podcast after an episode. I love how they have males and females giving their opinions. Look forward to their podcast every time, and I am never disappointed. Thank you, Sailor Luna, for your review. I think everyone can agree. At the very least, we get these up quickly. Like that's give us a 5-star review because we get them up quickly. Okay,
that's the one thing we got.
We're very efficient. It's
good. So if you give us a 5-star review, I might read it on the podcast next week. So thank you to everyone who's doing that. And you can also other places to talk with us on our Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord, with RWBY channel there. Some fun discussion there. And the number one way to support us is via our Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Jamie, aka Mailman, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Q. Other podcast up recently, we had a She-Ra Princesses of Power season 1 review up. That show dropped on Netflix this previous week, so I think RWBY fans could be into that. That's another female-centric action show, actually, much like RWBY. Check that podcast out at overlyanimated.com. We also had DuckTales coverage. And other than that, a little bit quiet right now, but we'll be back for more RWBY next week for sure. And let us know what you guys thought, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.